Hello and welcome to the Spirit Safe. My name's Rob. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. What do we have this time? Scapa Skiren from the Scapa distillery, single malt Scotch whisky. Scapa is on the Isle of Orkney next door to Highland Park. But Scapa's much smaller. Highland Park has a capacity of 2.5 million litres of pure alcohol a year. Scapa just 1 million, so much smaller. I really like the way that this is packaged. This is a cardboard box with a plastic top, but it's kind of, you can't see the joins or anything, so it's really nicely packaged, really nicely put together. One problem is this tube is too tall for my shelves, so I've had to be stashing it somewhere. So yes, this distillery is owned by Pernod Ricard. It is bottled at 40%. It is no age statement, artificially coloured, and chill filtered as well. So really, it's got the quadruple whammy of things that I look to avoid. Reason that I bought it is that I'd never had a Scapa before, and it came back into the BC liquor stores recently after 2 or 3 years absence, so I thought I would give it a shot. Scapa the distillery has had a checkered past, and it was mothballed for a long time. It only really started to kick out spirit again in I think 2004. There was a 14-year-old Scapa which has now been discontinued, and that received an awful lot of acclaim. I never got to try it, and it's now, as I say, discontinued. So now we just have 2 expressions: the Scapa Skiren and the Scapa Glancer. The Glancer contains more, I think, a bit more peat. This is aged entirely in first fill American oak. It doesn't say ex-bourbon, but I can only assume that it is. So here we go, Scapa. Yeah, very nice. It's mellow. It's quite interesting. I get apple pie, a hint of stewed rhubarb, quite a lot of stewed rhubarb actually, a hint of cinnamon, briny sea air, and honeyed malt. Lots and lots of honey. A tiniest hint of black licorice. More honey. Really lovely. It's not all that complex, this, but it is, I think I paid 75 Canadian dollars plus tax for it here in BC, so I think it's nicely priced elsewhere in the world. It's very approachable. You get a creamy oak, creamy vanilla, a hint of fresh mint, and a very light saltiness as well. Okay, let's go in for a taste. Okay. There is a certain thinness to the palate because of the low alcohol content, but it's retained a bit of a creamy mouthfeel. There's quite a lot of honey on the palate. Creamy. There's no, not even a hint of an alcohol burn. It's just very creamy. Not a great deal of spice. A hint of peat, just to give you something to sort of think about, but very, very little. It's just a honeyed malt. I've got to say, I think this is extremely drinkable. Won't set your world alight at all. It's just fresh, light, very easy to drink. I would probably put this in the same category as the Anok 12. Uncomplicated, unchallenging, not too highly priced. Not a great presentation in terms of the alcoholic strength and the chill filtration, but actually very enjoyable, very nice to sit down with, have a drink at the end of a long day. Lovely and mellow, creamy, tiniest hint of peat, although it's not enough for it to sort of tickle, and it just fades into a dry honey, hint of something herbal. This is really not bad. It will never be my favourite. I would love Scapa to come up with some age statement varieties, some age statement bottlings, but I have to say I think the best thing that can happen to Scapa is for it to leave the group of companies that it's in. I think really I would love it if Burns Stewart bought Scapa and actually increased the bottling strength and took out the chill filtration like they did with Bunnahabhain and the Deanston distillery. I think it has the potential to be really very, very good. It's a shame that the presentation is holding it back slightly, but it's sort of struggling against that, struggling against the chill filtration, because it sort of wants the shortbready, biscuity, creamy, buttery notes to come through, and they do to a certain extent, but this would be so much better if it weren't chill filtered. Really would be. A bit of a shame, but it's an enjoyable malt nonetheless. I don't think you're going to buy it and completely loathe it. You might find it unchallenging, but you know, if you're a peat fan deciding between a Lagavulin 12 cask strength and this, please choose Lagavulin 12 cask strength. Okay, I'm going to call it a day. I'm finishing off a few cheaper bottles that need to be killed off before I move house, and then when I move house and we've got our new location, there will be some interesting things on the way. I've got a couple of cask strength expressions. I've got a couple of Brookladdies, I've got a couple of Springbanks. We are going to do 1 or 2 cheaper bourbons, and then we are going to key up the the quality of the bourbons, so we're going to do some premium bourbons as well. I'm sort of trying to try some of the cheaper things first because I don't have much experience with them. But now I've tried a couple of the cheaper things, I think I'm ready to go for something a bit more special. Okay, I will enjoy the rest of this bottle as I've enjoyed what came before it. I think it's very, very enjoyable, extremely drinkable malt. Anyone who's drinking this at the moment, please drink other things. You won't learn a lot about Scotch whisky. You won't. It's not that challenging, but it hits the spot. It's a thirst quencher. Okay, thank you very much, guys. We will meet again soon. Bye bye.